Hey everyone, it's Rob from Hypop and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're taking a closer look and unboxing the brand new range of Godox's SL series lights, the SL100 and the SL100D. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. We unbox and review many Godox products just like these ones. Follow us on social media at Hypop. Leave a like on the video. Feel free to leave down in the comments section below your thoughts or if you have any questions about the Godox SL series of lights. Also, don't forget to visit our website, www.hypop.com.au, and let's get into it. So I've got with me the brand new Godox SL100D. So the D for this model here stands for daylight. And the other version, which is the bi version, stands for the color temperature adjustable version. So that means it has a color temperature adjusting feature that ranges from the warm temperatures up to the cool temperatures. This one here we're looking at is the daylight version. So this is basically the upgraded version or a newer version of the Godox SL60. So if you know what the Godox SL60 is, it's a super popular, affordable continuous light for content creators. It's good as a video light, perfect for photography. Also, you can use it for product photography, even for portrait and things like that. So it's been one of Godox's really popular lights that they've released, and definitely one of the best sellers, that's for sure. This one here is a 100 watt version. So if you're after a light that is more powerful than the SL60, then you'll most likely be looking at this. There are models above it, the SL200. So this one here sits at the middle range there. So if you want a little bit more output than SL60, look at the SL100 range. Now let's unbox this and see what's included. So the first thing we have here is the user guide, and that's the manual. And here we have the light itself. It's the SL100D. You can see there. You have a nice Bowens reflector here. You've also got a power cable, so this is like a kettle cord. And you also have a nice little Godox cable tie here, which is nice. And that's it. So that's all that's included with the light itself. Now, previously Godox did include remote controls with their lights. These are now not included in the box and they're sold separately, so you can purchase them as a separate accessory. However, the newer lights, they actually link up to Godox's app, which you can download from the App Store or Google Play Store. So we'll take a closer look at that when we're operating the light. So for those not familiar with COB LED lights, the SL100 is a chip-on-board LED. So you can see there's that single LED chipset there. Now the great thing about this particular model is that they've upgraded the protection for that chip. So they actually have a plastic covering over the front of this chip that helps it, obviously, if you manage to bump it or damage it in any way, there's some sort of protection, because the previous SL60 model didn't have that. Now, LED continuous lights just like these are great because they usually feature a Bowens mount, which you can see here. So I've attached the Bowens mount reflector. The Bowens mount reflector is slightly different to the previous model. The previous model was more of a standard reflector. It was a little bit wider. I believe it's 60 degrees wider, and this one here is a 45-degree reflector. So you have a little bit more of a narrower reflector, and you have a nice little sort of interior baffling here. So that allows it to intensify the light a lot more. And to mount onto the Bowens mount is relatively easy. You just match up the lugs and then you twist the lock until you hear that sound. Now the light itself is 100 watts of output. The beam angle is 120 degrees unless you're using some sort of lighting modifier such as a reflector. Obviously if you put a softbox on it, you can modify the light a little bit better. It also has a 5600 Kelvin color temperature, being the daylight model. So if you're after just pure daylight, this is the one to go for. If you want color temperature adjusting, if you want a warmer color temperature, then you'd go for the bi version. Also on top of that, you have a CRI rating of 96, which is excellent. You've also got a TLC-I rating of 97. So that means the colors that are renditioning back in your photos and your videos are gonna be nice and accurate. The light itself has power adjustment from 0 to 100%, and you also have 8 effects on the light itself. So that's an upgrade from the previous SL60 where it didn't have any effects whatsoever. Now these lights are specifically made to be studio lights only, so it's only got the power mode. There's no battery operation whatsoever. So it's perfect to be used indoors. And you can control the light via the optional remote control, which is the RC-A6. And you also can control it via the Godox app via Bluetooth, and that's going to be the Godox Light app that you can download on the App Store. You have a 30-meter range for the app, so that means you can operate within that, within that distance, which should suit most people, unless you're in a, in more of an outdoor situation or maybe a large indoor space. So these are really ideal to be used in, closer proximity studio spaces, so be mindful of that. You obviously have, quite a small design, and there is an internal fan inside, so it does keep the light cool, especially at full output or especially if there's a higher ambient temperature. It does operate, but it's not noticeable in terms of picking up on microphones. So we'll give that a test so you can take a closer look at that also. And you also have an umbrella mount at the bottom here. So that's important if you're wanting to use just a basic umbrella modifier. Otherwise you go for the Bowens mount there. You have a nice tilt handle here as an adjustment. You also have a grip handle here that helps you reposition the light when you need to. And the light itself is actually quite small as compared to the SL60. It only weighs about 1.6 kilos, so that's great too. When using the reflector, the SL100D actually outputs an impressive 32,100 lux at 1 meter. So that's really powerful for a small unit such as this. So let's turn it on right now. Just got a power cable here, we'll plug that in. And let's take a closer look at the menu options as well as all the buttons here at the back. So just turn that on. There you go, you can see the light flashing behind me. I'll just turn down the intensity. So you can see you can go from 100% in 1% increments down to 0. And it's a true 0 as well, so that means the light's completely off. Now the first thing that you'll see are these 2 knobs. The right one is the dimming knob that I just demonstrated, and you also have the effects knob over here, which only works, so it's not working on the default mode there. It only works when you jump into the effects. So you can see I'm going to be cycling through the different effects here. You have a total of 8 effects, so you can turn the effects on by pressing the effects button and then rotating the knob here to be changing the different effects. So they've got all your standard effects from lightning to flashing to police car, but being a daylight light, you can see it is limited to the amount of effects. The SL100 has 3 more additional effects because it has those warm color temperatures that they're able to use for the effects. So that's something to keep in mind if effects are something that you'd be using. Okay, so turn off the effects, and you can see at the top here, you've got channel and you've also got ID. So this will be for when you're using the remote control. So if you're using the RC-A6 remote control, you'll be setting the group and channel to match the light. And also making sure that your ID is matching. So to get into the ID here, you got the group and channel button, but you can see down the center here, there's an ID little indicator. That means you have to press both buttons here. And then ID flashes there, and you can switch the ID over with the dimmer knob here from off 1 all the way up to 99, you can see there. Now ID is really important because sometimes this setting's accidentally hit or someone's changed it in some way and then the remote control doesn't work for some reason. You need to make sure that it's either off or matching to the remote control so that they have connectivity there. And then lastly is the Bluetooth on or off mode there. So you can hold down the Bluetooth and turns it off or puts it into pairing mode for the app control. So just quickly demonstrating the app control. So I've jumped into the Godox Light app here that I've downloaded from the App Store. You can see that I've created a small studio here profile, which is just named Hypop here. You can jump in. You can add many other Godox lights, so not just the SL100, but some of the other continuous lights from their newer range. So some of their older ones aren't compatible with the app, so you just have to be mindful of the models that you're choosing and which ones will be working with the app. The SL100 definitely works with it, so we'll just go ahead and add the fixture here by clicking add, and you can see straight away it's identified it, the SL100D, and those 4 digits at the end there are just basically the identifier number for it. So you can just grab that there, turn that on and click select and then confirm. And now that's just connected to the light and it's added it to your studio profile here. So I'll turn on the light, I can select it there. I can turn it on or off so you can see it's controlling at the back there. You can click on the actual light itself and you can change it. So you can see you have a color temperature adjusting knob there, as well as the intensity dial here controlling the light, and also a green magenta color shift that you can add to the light, which is great. And also the color temp, which you see here, but as you're all aware, the SL100D is not color temperature adjustable. So this feature here is not supported basically by this light, but it will be supported by the bi-color light. But the option is still here in the app, so it doesn't blank it out or anything. So it's still there for you. And yeah, basically that's the way you control it. It saves a lot of people time. It also saves you some money from having to purchase the remote control, because now you can control it via the app. And not only can you control a single light, but multiple lights also. So I've got with me the previous SL60W model, the really popular model that's, you know, popular amongst content creators and product photographers, etc. This light here you can see is slightly bigger than the SL100. So they have reduced the form factor of the light. The actual build quality of the SL100 is really nice. Also, although it is made from, you know, a metal mix with a bit of plastic here, it definitely still feels nice and sturdy. You can see the light itself has a more cleaner design. It's obviously got 40 watts more of output. The reflector that's included, you can see where what I mentioned previously was a standard Bones reflector here. It was a wider throw, whereas this reflector is a lot more narrow. And on the back here, it has everything that you pretty much have from the SL60. However, you've got the addition of the effects there with that effects knob also. And you also have the compatibility with the Godox Light app, which the SL60 didn't have. So overall, in terms of value and features, you're getting a lot more from the SL100. So it's a nice upgrade if you're considering, you know, a decision between both lights here. Now, in terms of pricing, the Godox SL60 was priced here in Australia at 210 Australian dollars, whereas the SL100 is priced at 255 Australian dollars. This is only a $45 pricing difference there. So in terms of the additional effects, the compatibility with the Godox Light, the additional output, the overall better build quality and design, as well as the addition of this narrower reflector, which helps illuminate and, you know, intensify the output of the light, I think the SL100 is a great upgrade. I've got the SL100 Bi here now, so this is the D and this is the Bi here. So you can see it's exactly the same in terms of its design, form factor. There's no differences whatsoever besides the features basically. Even on the back here, you can see it's got all the same buttons, same knobs, everything. The main differences between the SL100 Bi is that it has the color temperature adjusting range between 2600 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin. So that means that you're able to get into those warmer color temperatures if that's important to you. Now, despite it being a bi-color light or a, you know, color temperature adjusting light, it still maintains that CRI rating of 96 and TLCI rating of 97, which is really important for you know, color temperature adjusting lights, especially on those warmer color temperature ranges. The output itself still is at that 32,100 with the included reflector, so that's great. And the only major difference, I guess, would be, you know, apart from the color temperature adjusting, would be the effects. So you've got 3 different effects. The additional effects would be candlelight, you've also got fire, and you've also got fireworks. So it's utilizing those warmer color temperatures to produce that effect. Now in the front here, you've also got that protection as well for the LED chip, which is great. So both lights are a great option. It just depends whether or not you want the additional features from the Bi, so the color temperature adjusting, as well as the different effects. Now, obviously it comes at a more steeper price. So the Godox SL100D is priced at $255 here in Australia, whereas the SL100 Bi is $325. So you can see there's a bit of a jump there. And you are paying for the color temperature adjusting features. If that's important to you, then I'd suggest to go for the Bi. Otherwise, the D is the go-to. It's similar to the previous SL60W, which proves to be really popular. So if you don't need those color temperature adjustable features, then go for the cheaper model for sure. So I've actually got with me the popular Aputure Amaran 100D. So Aputure have started to come into this COB lighting market at the lower range, and they do have some entry-level models here. This is a 100D, so as you can see here, it's almost the same, naming that the Godox has here, the SL100D also. So it's a like-for-like model. Basically, it's a 100-watt COB LED light that's daylight rated only. Now, I just wanted to take a closer look at these lights because obviously they are pretty much competing with each other. You can see in terms of the sizing, the form factor of the Aputure is actually quite small there. It's made from a plastic build, so the entire thing's made from a plastic build. So I feel like the Godox SL100D here is a little bit better of a build quality. Overall, the light looks quite simplistic. There's no, buttons or knobs really. You've got the main intensity knob there, you've got Bluetooth reset, and you've got on and off, as well as the power. Now, the major difference with Aputure is obviously Aputure's quite a popular brand in the indie filmmaking space or, videographer space and filmmaking space. So they're quite popular in general just from their brand. They do have little upgraded features that have like a locking mechanism here for the DC output, the input for the power. And it has everything that you'd expect from a standard continuous light. Now, the light itself, the major differences I guess would be from the SL100D here is that it has a beam angle that's a little bit more narrow. So it's a 105-degree beam angle as compared to the 120-degree beam angle. Obviously, that doesn't really matter once you start using lighting modifiers like this. The included reflector is almost exactly the same. You can see there, they're the narrower reflector. It's almost the same design and everything like that. It does have compatibility with Aputure's app, which also matches Godox's compatibility with their own app. The intensity knob, it's basically a daylight rated knob that controls the intensity from 0 to 100%. Also, there's a slight difference in the CRI rating, which is only 95 and a TLCI rating of 96 on the Aputure Amaran 100D as compared to a 96 and 97 respectively, which is slightly higher on the Godox Light. Now, in terms of pricing, here in Australia, we have this at $255 and the Amaran is about $340. So you can see, even though the lights in terms of features are almost like for like, the pricing is slightly different. So it just really comes down to the budget at the end of the day in terms of reliability and other features. I mean, the Aputure, for example, does have a large heatsink here and also a fan down the bottom here. So they do both have fans. They almost are like for like. It really just comes down to what brand you prefer. And if you're already invested in that system, so Aputure having their own app and their own lights, you may already have a few Aputure lights, so you want to go with Aputure only. Or if you're after your first light, it might come down to budget too. So you might want to go for a cheaper option, or just depends on what you prefer really at the end of the day. Overall, they're both great options. So just quickly too, obviously with the Godox SL100 Bi, Aputure also have a model that is bicolor, which is called the 100X. Now, the main differences between the two really are just the color temperature range as well as the beam angle. So the beam angle, once again, is at 105 degrees as compared to 120 degrees. And also the color temperature range on Aputure is slightly more. So that's gonna be at 2700 Kelvin up to the 6500 Kelvin, whereas the SL100 Bi is 2800 Kelvin, so 100K more on the warmer end of the spectrum up to the 6500 Kelvin. So you just need to keep that in mind if that's important. They both, once again, connect to their own relative apps, so you just need to keep that in mind when investing or looking at purchasing either of these lights. Now, another major difference is the Aputure is slightly more powerful at full output at the 5600 Kelvin range. So the SL100 Bi is at 32,100 lux at 1 meter with this 55-degree hyper reflector, whereas the Aputure 100X is 34,300 lux at 1 meter with the hyper reflector. So you can see there's a slight difference in terms of output, but in most cases, especially if you're going to be using it in an indoor environment, you won't be using it at full output. It just depends on your use case. However, both are great options. So that was just our unboxing and review of the Godox SL100 series, the SL100D, and the SL100 Bi. For more videos just like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a like on the video if it's helped you. Feel free to leave down in the comments section below your thoughts, or if you have any questions about the SL100D and the SL100 Bi. Follow us on social media at Hypop and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Thanks for watching.